Just this week, another jobs report came out and people were shocked. They were not prepared of what was waiting for them. And it gives us an insight into that one big topic when it comes to AGI or AI, whatever you want to call it, where I believe, and I have been very outspoken about this, that we are all getting gaslighted by the administration, by thought leaders and czars like David Sachs and the whole crowd, who I love. These are super intelligent people, great at what they're doing, but they're gaslighting us. And why do they gaslighting us? Because they don't want us to understand what is waiting for the economy and for most people with a job, especially for white-collar jobs. So what is the news? Let's look at it. Jerome Powell will have his fun with this. The US economy lost 92,000 jobs in February, far more than expected, because what we actually expected was 55,000 additional jobs. Non-farm payrolls, so the payrolls outside the farming business, outside agriculture, which is the key number we are looking for, expected plus 55,000. What we delivered was negative 92,000. So, of course, when you hear numbers like that, the debate is always the conventional, traditional legacy economists and analysts are jumping in and commenting and saying, well, that's so weird. The economy might be much weaker than we thought. But at the same time, we see GDPs going up. So weird, such mixed signals. These are mostly old boomers who are sitting there and saying, well, I know what it means. If we lose jobs, the economy is going down, right? The Fed has to lower rates. The economy is going down. They lower rates to invigorate the economy so it goes up, so people get hired again. This kind of thinking will get us into very big trouble because that is actually not what is happening. It's the elephant in the room. And if you're under 60, or if you're watching this channel and you're any age between, let's say, 2 and 120, so you're ahead of the crowd, you're smart, you know that there's an elephant in the room, and that elephant is called AI. And in the age of AI, or in the age of AGI, artificial general intelligence, which we now are entering full scale, this old mantra, economy weak, jobs down, economy strong, jobs up, is out of the window because for the first time in history, we actually have a new thing. It's not even a technology, it's a thing. It's probably a being or something. Don't want to get into the metaphysical here, but it's a being, it's an intelligence, it's an artificial general intelligence that is replacing all white-collar jobs, increasingly all white-collar jobs. And in a minute, we are going to get into the details. Anthropic came out with an interesting report. But the takeaway here is it is not that the economy is weak. The opposite is true. Because of AI, the economy is getting stronger and stronger. Profits are going up. Growth is accelerating. But people are on an accelerated level getting kicked out of their jobs and replaced by AI. That is why the economy is going up. That is why we see increased productivity. So the conventional crowd just sees that 92,000 jobs lost and thinks, oh, bad economy. The more advanced crowd sees the truth and understands this is mostly about AI accelerating the economy or people getting kicked out. But in the smart crowd, most of the Silicon Valley crowd wants to gaslight us and say, well, it's just no one knows what's happening. Forget it. It's not a big deal. The economy is going up and AI will create more jobs. And this is just some weird blip. It's not a trend. It's just a single data point. Forget it. The truth is very simple. AGI is in full swing. AGI is here and job losses are in the process of getting accelerated. Of course. And of course, the people who say, oh, we will create more jobs with AI. Sure, go to Pioneer Lands. Join the Pioneer Academy. We are expanding now. We will create all the jobs in Pioneer Lands. It's true, but that's not what these people think and understand. In Pioneer Lands, we create more jobs, and everyone who's an entrepreneur who's really on top of their game and starting new companies with vibe coding and all these things, or using AI in other ways, of course, they're creating jobs for themselves. And they're creating giant companies, and there will be the first company by a single person that makes $1 billion or is $1 billion worth probably this year. All that is true. But these are exceptional outliers. Entrepreneurs who can just embrace AI and create these amazing startups. It's completely delusional to think you can lay off 180 million workers in the United States and then you get 180 million amazing entrepreneurs. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We need new technologies, new systems, and new strategies to actually get a much larger share of former workers or future white-collar workers that never become white-collar workers into this AI economy. That is what Pioneer Lens is doing. But to rely on randomly everyone becoming a super entrepreneur is just stupid. So here you see actually the year-on-year change in the US tech employment. I will zoom that in a little bit. You see employment growth in the tech sector has been noticeably weak. It's very interesting that this coincides, and to some extent that is random that it really coincides so much with 2023, ChatGPT 3 actually coming online. In January 2023, it started really spreading, and you see this complete drop. And you see it try to recover, and now comes the real drop. I think that might have been some form of coincidence here. That drop in the tech sector after this giant boom, right? Maybe that's just a reaction to the boom. But then you see the recovery trying, and this here, that is where AGI starts to hit. And this will go down the drain. I'm very sure about that. And you see these jobs are here that they're listing custom computer programming services, computing infrastructure, computer system design services, web search, streaming services, software publishers, and here's total tech employment growth, the red line. So I think this is a random coincidence because here you see the COVID dip, here you see the COVID boom, then COVID was over and it fell. But here at the bottom, that's where it's supposed to recover and go back to here, right? Where it was before 2020. But you see what's happening here? That last little piece in 2025 and now accelerating downwards, that's what we have to observe. And that is exactly the AGI problem, even though most people will tell you it's not. This here is what Anthropic just published. And this is a very interesting chart. Even though some people on X, including Chamath, said they're hating radar graphs. I'm not going to comment on radar graphs, but we can look at some of the details here, and they're very interesting. So what you see here is all the different jobs, right? All the different sectors of the GDP, of the economy, legal, for example, here, social services, life and social sciences, architecture, computer and math, business and finance, management, art and media, healthcare. And on the other side, you see a lot of blue-collar jobs, personal care, food and service, agriculture, construction. So you see office and admin. So this is a stupid, to Chamath's point that he hates radar charts. You see why, because you can actually list these different jobs any way you want, and we would create a totally different looking chart. So forget about the radar chart. But clearly, the blue tells you what AI, theoretical AI coverage, what AI currently can replace. It shows you what kind of jobs AI currently can replace, theoretically. And the red tells you what we currently observe. And that is based on Anthropic's internal data. And Anthropic has a very good insight into this whole space, and they see what's actually happening. They also see what theoretically is possible because they're working with big enterprise companies and employers. So they have a very good insight into this whole thing. Both the red, what is truly happening, and the blue, what they know is possible, what they know they're discussing with enterprise clients, but what is not yet happening. So what is so interesting here is these job losses that we now start to really see showing up in the statistics, now that it's getting very serious, that is just the red area here. Only the red area is what we actually see. And that's already scary. The blue area is not what is coming in the future. It is what's possible today with Anthropic and probably with ChatGPT and some other things like Gemini and Grok. And what does it tell you? It tells you that at any moment the red can expand into the blue. And if you just look at the surface here, we are talking about 10x, maybe 20x the job destruction that we already see that can happen now. And when you then overlay over this whole thing, that this is the status quo, that is not telling you how the blue, the theoretic coverage actually looks like in 6 months, how the blue will look in 12 months, end of 2026. And I can tell you one thing, the blue end of 2027, in 15, in like 21 months, will fill out everything to the brim that is a white collar job. Before 2028, every white collar job will be completely theoretically eliminated. That is the future that is waiting for us, and the future is not very far away. In fact, we are already living in the future. I just wanted you guys to see that. I have preached this now for over a year, since the beginning of 2025. I told everyone we have reached the singularity, the point in time where AI is self-improving, has entered the loop. It's not completely AI self-improving, it's still humans in the loop, but AI is eating that share of the recursive loop up more and more and pushes the humans out, and soon we will hit that critical point. But we have entered that continuum that is the singularity. And that means, what does it mean? It means we are on an exponential trajectory. And if you follow the AI systems, yes, they are exponential. And we have already entered the AGI phase, where this actually starts to replace white collar jobs. This will all happen before 2028. And that means it's the greatest disruption in the history of the economy. And people are asleep at the wheel. Fortunately, that doesn't matter because we have robo-taxis now. But still, you know what I mean. Very dangerous. It means massive, explosive productivity and massive unemployment coming. So we have to handle that. It is going to be very, very challenging politically, socially, not so much economically, because most companies will fire all their workers and have massive productivity growth. And the question, who will buy all their stuff? Well, it's the K-shaped economy. It will be more and more B2B. It will be NVDA selling chips to Tesla, which makes you $1 trillion on its own. You don't need humans anymore. They get rich. You need to be a shareholder. You need to be a pioneer using AI. And unfortunately, these millions or hundreds of millions of people who will be unemployed and cannot make that transition because unfortunately they are not members in Pioneer Lands. Too bad. I told them that's why you should go to Pioneer Lands. But everyone who's not in Pioneer Lands or who is like a crazy entrepreneur on their own will have a major problem. And the economy will not have a major problem. Isn't that interesting? So I will wrap this video up with this chart also from Anthropic, and you can actually look at that study. Just Google Anthropic, labor, exposure and study. You will find a whole website by Anthropic with all these details on it. And they basically say the observed exposure, number one, computer programmers, of course, right? AI is targeted towards programming first because of the singularity. All the frontier AI companies want to close the loop and have self-recursive self-improvement of the AI systems. Why? Well, because they want to win and they want to kill us all. They know what's going to happen, but they can't help themselves. So they're trying to kick the programmers out and create the system. And then customer service representatives, because it's so easy, it's language models. Data entry, kiosks, medical records specialists, so healthcare is also affected very heavily because what they're doing can be easily replaced. Market research, analysis, sales representatives, financial investment analysts. For those of you watching, I know a lot of you are in finance, a lot here on the channel. Yeah, financial investment analysts are getting killed by it. But this is also one of the key jobs that we are redefining in Pioneer Lands and the Pioneer Academy, because I do think you can do magic things now with AI, building amazing models, building amazing apps, sharing that on YouTube in Pioneer Lands. So I think there's actually one of the easiest ways of getting out and saving yourself. Software quality assurance, information security analysts, and computer user support specialists. So you see what's happening here, but this will also change and expand. The observed exposure, how much of that job can actually be automated by AI today, that number will go through the roof in the next 6 months, and the occupation list will grow like crazy. So that's the brave new world we are living in. What is the solution? Buy stocks, become a capital owner, because the people who will benefit from this most are the AI companies, the Mag 7, Tesla, NVIDIA, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and so on and so forth. These will be the big winners because they're eating the world. Amazon, not to forget. And SpaceX, everyone who's infrastructure building for AI. So it's going to be very interesting. That's what I'm preaching all day long. But here's another data point. You have probably seen this stuff on X, so I wanted to comment. I hope that was interesting. See you very soon. We're continuing to cover the macro situation in Iran because that is the biggest alpha builder right now. to understand what Iran is going to do next or the US is going to do next, because once this war is over, the stock market is going to go through the roof. This coiled spring. So I hope to see you very soon, because we are continuing that coverage, and that will be very important to play the market the right way. I hope that was interesting. See you tomorrow.